Tensions between Bubba Wallace and Aric Almirola have never been higher than they are now. The entire NASCAR community was caught off guard when Joe Gibbs Racing suspended Aric Almirola from the Xfinity series. This came to be after it was reported that Almirola initiated a fight with Bubba Wallace behind closed doors. It's no secret that Bubba Wallace and Aric Almirola are not the best of friends. However, fans expected things to calm down when Almirola retired from competing full-time in the Cup Series after the end of the 2023 season. However, this certainly did not cool things down. But things are always cool at NASCAR Off Track, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button for our channel so we can keep you updated with the latest news on NASCAR. This season, Almirola has been driving part-time in the Xfinity series for Joe Gibbs Racing. Almirola was set to take part in the number 20 car for the Xfinity race in Charlotte. However, Ty Gibbs took part in that race instead after a rumor started circling that Aric Almirola was suspended after having a physical altercation with Bubba Wallace. At the time, not everyone believed these rumors, but they have proven to be true ahead of last weekend's race in Nashville. The suspension was said to be indefinite. However, Almirola is expected to return to racing this month. Bubba Wallace was asked about this in Nashville. "They don't want me to get into details to keep some people's images good," Wallace said. "I think I said enough at Charlotte last year, so all in all, life is good for me." That expletive happened over a month ago, and a lot of goods come my way. And that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on getting our stuff turned back around. And off the track, I'm focused on my wife and baby boy that's growing and growing. And so that's all you can really ask for. So things are good for me off track, not so much on track. That's what we are focused on right now. This is not even the first time Wallace and Almirola got into an altercation. During last year's Coca-Cola 600, both drivers had contact on the track. At the time, Almirola was asked about the incident. To this, he said, "I was just early in the race, and I felt like he run me all over the racetrack. And then when he got by me, he shot me the bird. So I just went to ask him why he shot me the bird. I felt like I gave him a lot of room and gave him a lot of respect. And he started mouthing off at saying a lot of bad things and cussing at me after he shot me the bird. I let him know that it's not acceptable. He's not gonna cuss at me and shoot me the bird." Later on pit road, Almirola was captured aggressively shoving Wallace. No doubt that the two drivers have an ugly history together. But now JGR seems to have had enough of it. Bubba Wallace himself is known to lose his temper now and then. However, from the reports that have been coming out, it seems as though he has not retaliated. There is a reason for this. Bubba Wallace is a full-time Cup Series driver. He certainly has better things to do with his life, and having a feud with Almirola is not one of them. Despite the confrontation with Almirola, Wallace chooses not to focus on that too much. He instead just wants to focus on the season ahead. After all, that is the bigger picture. 23XI team owner Denny Hamlin was asked to comment on this. Here's what he said. "I don't really have a comment on it because I wasn't there at the time," Hamlin explained. "So I don't know what transpired. It's all hearsay from my standpoint. At 23XI, we let Joe Gibbs Racing handle it, and they did what they saw fit. Again, I don't know all the details because I didn't want to get too much into the personal business and still don't." This incident might have put Denny Hamlin in a tough spot. In addition to being the team owner for 23XI Racing, he is also a franchise driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. This was one of the key reasons why he didn't want to get involved and let JGR handle the situation. Although Aric and Bubba have a lot of bad blood between them, Bubba cannot let that bother him. He's currently fighting for a spot in the playoffs. After Nashville last weekend, there are only 7 more races to go in the regular season, and Wallace is yet to win a race so far. And so far, there have been 10 race winners. This means that if Bubba does not win a race in the next 7 races, he will need to have secured enough points to make the cut. At the moment, he sits in 15th position on the points table, and 6th among drivers who have not scored a race win. This may not be enough for him to make the cut. Denny Hamlin is certainly not happy with Bubba's performance this season. "You always have to count on one more freak winner that's outside the cut, in which case, then Buescher becomes the next guy above that cut line. He's substantially ahead of Logano and Bubba. That's where you have to look at it and say, okay, we have to not get unlucky first, and then we got to go beat Joey for the next 7-8 weeks. That's not going to be easy. The The way Logano's been running, it's not crazy and unthinkable, but you're going to have to be consistently better than him over the next 7-8 weeks, and that will be a tough task. Hamlin wants Bubba to at least start beating Logano at the very least. This will help him slowly get that playoff spot in the next 7 races. Besides, Bubba is also at risk of losing his seat at 23XI Racing. Here's what Hamlin said about 23XI Racing's pace this season. "Certainly, I'm not overly joyed with the performance and speed at 23XI right now. There's definitely some JGR cars that were strong in the dry, and just for whatever reason, they, 23XI, are not showing the speed they were early in the season. They are working on it, trying to figure it out. Frankly, they just haven't had the results to warrant anything but the position they're in." Among the two 23XI drivers, Bubba is the only one who is yet to qualify for the playoffs. Tyler Reddick won a race back in Talladega. As it stands, Bubba's contract expires after the 2025 season. So he will drive for the team next year, but what will happen after that, no one knows. It's no secret that 23XI Racing is looking to purchase another charter to have 3 permanent cars on the grid. So next year, Bubba will most likely have another teammate from next year. This is another driver who can beat Bubba. So if he wants to secure his seat in 23XI Racing, he will need to start doing it from this year itself. 23XI Racing's performances is generally compared to that of Joe Gibbs Racing. When you hear this sentence, you assume that it is not a fair comparison, as Joe Gibbs Racing is a much bigger team compared to 23XI Racing. However, 23XI Racing does have a special arrangement with Joe Gibbs. NASCAR is naturally a data-based sport. Since all the cars are more or less similar, the teams depend on the data collected from practice sessions to get an edge over the other teams. Since JGR and HMS will be the only teams on the grid with 4 charters, they have access to the most data. Thanks to Denny Hamlin's relationship with Joe Gibbs, he has arranged for JGR to share their data with 23XI Racing. This should have given 23XI Racing an extra edge over the rest of the teams, but it is not so far. Bubba Wallace should now understand how he can take complete advantage of this to make sure that he's able to perform at his best on the track. This week, the drivers will be heading to Chicago for the only street race on the calendar. This race will open up a lot of opportunities, as anything can happen in street races. Given that street races are a bit more complex than the regular oval tracks, data will play a more important part here. So after JGR and HMS, 23XI Racing will be looking to be next in line for the race win. But as I said, anything can happen in street races. Either way, there's one good news for Wallace. He will not have to compete against Aric Almirola in the Cup Series again. Do you think Bubba Wallace can make it into the playoffs this season? Post your thoughts in the comments section below.